For years, Joe Rogan has built a reputation by stepping into the subjects most people in media would rather avoid. From Jeffrey Epstein to Diddy, from elite networks to the machinery of fame, power, and silence. Now, online speculation is trying to drag one of pop culture's most protected dynasties into that same conversation: the Kardashians. A billion-dollar empire built on image, access, influence, and an extraordinary ability to control the narrative. And according to rumors spreading across social media, some people believe there may be more behind that polished surface than the public has ever been allowed to see. Let's be clear from the start. There is no verified evidence proving the Kardashian family was involved in Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. No court has established that. No publicly authenticated file confirms that. Much of what is being repeated online remains exactly what it is: rumors, speculation, recycled accusations, and claims that have not been substantiated. But despite that, the conversation refuses to disappear. It keeps resurfacing, growing louder each time Epstein-related material returns to the headlines, and each time celebrities, insiders, or former associates throw out another accusation, another insinuation, another name. That is why this story keeps pulling people in. Not because the claims have been proven, but because the Kardashian brand has always existed in that strange territory where scandal, influence, money, and media manipulation seem to overlap. According to online narratives, Kris Jenner is often described not simply as a manager, but as the architect of a machine so disciplined, so strategic, and so ruthless that nothing connected to the family ever reaches the public by accident. In the eyes of critics, that image alone has been enough to fuel darker theories, including the claim that if hidden networks of power did exist around Hollywood, Kris Jenner would know exactly how to navigate them. The rumors go even further. Social media posts, anonymous threads, and sensational commentary have tried to tie Kim, Khloe, Kendall, and Kylie to Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell through alleged documents, alleged tapes, and alleged witness statements. Yet when you strip away the viral captions and dramatic edits, what remains is far less certain. The most explosive versions of these accusations still rely on unverified interpretations and material that has not been publicly authenticated. That distinction matters because in stories like this, repetition can create the illusion of proof long before proof actually exists. Still, the internet does what it always does. It fills the vacuum. Every old scandal gets re-examined. Every quote gets reframed. Every relationship gets turned into a clue. Ray J, Kanye. Old family controversies. The sex tape. The business empire. The church. The private circles. The billionaire image. All of it becomes part of one larger theory that the Kardashian rise was not just manufactured, but protected by forces most people never see. And once the theory takes hold, every headline starts to look, to some people, like another breadcrumb. One filing that drew particular attention was a complaint associated with the Maxwell case, in which a complainant referenced the Kardashians. But even there, the allegations described in public discussion are often exaggerated far beyond what can actually be verified. The complaint has circulated online as if it were definitive proof of criminal involvement, when in reality, it appears to contain serious accusations that remain unproven and, by the complainant's own acknowledgement, unsupported by documentary evidence. That does not mean the claims are true. It also does not mean they are false. It means they remain allegations, and allegations are not the same thing as facts. Even so, critics argue that this is exactly the kind of ambiguity powerful people benefit from. Nothing fully collapses, nothing fully lands, and the public is left trapped between suspicion and deniability. That gray zone has always been where the Kardashian machine performs best. Their image has survived sex scandals, lawsuits, backlash, accusations of manipulation, and years of criticism about the way fame, sexuality, and family were turned into business. To supporters, that is media genius. To detractors, it looks more like calculated exploitation wrapped in branding and sold as empowerment. Then there is the money. For many observers, the real reason these rumors keep spreading is because the Kardashian story has already been touched by questions of financial image-making. The Forbes controversy surrounding Kylie Jenner was a turning point. For years, the public was sold a clean narrative. Kylie as the youngest self-made billionaire, a cosmetics prodigy who turned social media influence into a historic fortune. But when Forbes revisited the numbers, that narrative cracked. The magazine accused Kylie's camp of inflating figures and suggested that documents provided to support the billionaire story may have presented a false picture of the business. Kylie denied wrongdoing, but the myth had already been damaged. That scandal did not prove any connection to Epstein. What it did do, however, was deepen public suspicion that the Kardashian empire was willing to shape reality as aggressively as it shaped publicity. Once people believe a family has manipulated money, media, and image on a massive scale, they become far more willing to believe the darker rumors too. And that is how speculation escalates. One credibility problem becomes the gateway to 100 unverified theories. The same pattern appears in discussion around Kris Jenner's church, the California Community Church. Critics have long questioned whether it functions more as a financial instrument than a spiritual institution, especially given the family's wealth and public controversies. Again, suspicion is not proof. But in the court of public opinion, structures like that only deepen the aura of secrecy. To people already convinced the Kardashians operate behind layers of legal and financial protection, every institution around them starts to look less like a normal entity and more like part of a larger system of insulation. Add in their access to elite circles, and the speculation intensifies. Lavish parties, billionaire guests, old industry relationships, proximity to wealth, politics, tech, royalty, and entertainment power. None of that proves criminality. But it does reinforce the core belief behind many conspiracy-driven narratives, that certain families do not simply become famous, they become protected. And once the public starts to think a family is protected, every unanswered question begins to feel intentional. That is why the Joe Rogan angle has gained traction online, whether or not there is anything substantial behind it. Rogan represents, for many people, the outsider with a massive platform, someone who might say what traditional media will not. The mere suggestion that he is looking into the Kardashians is enough to energize audiences already convinced that mainstream outlets bury stories involving celebrity power. At this stage, though, those claims remain part of the rumor cycle too. No verified public evidence has shown that Rogan possesses secret tapes, hidden files, or confirmed documentation tying the family to Epstein's network. So where does that leave the story? In the same uncomfortable place it has been for a long time, surrounded by smoke, but without publicly verified fire. A family built on scandal, image control, and relentless monetization is now being pulled into one of the darkest conversations in modern celebrity culture. The accusations are serious. The public appetite is enormous. The evidence, at least in anything verifiable and public, remains incomplete. And maybe that is the real reason these rumors won't die. The Kardashian empire has always felt larger than celebrity. Too disciplined, too connected, too polished, too resilient. For critics, that makes them suspicious. For fans, it makes them untouchable. For everyone else, it leaves one lingering possibility, that the truth, whatever it is, may be far messier than either side wants to admit. Until verifiable evidence emerges, what exists is a collision of rumor, resentment, celebrity history, and public distrust. Nothing more should be called proof. But nothing less explains why the whispers keep getting louder.